For the favorite of the public, the fighter of mixed martial arts Justin Gaethje. Entertainment is more important than health and fees. The man almost does not think about the defense and protection of the head, which worries his fans. His signature trick is a somersault with which the fighter celebrates the victory. Hello fighters with MMA Iron Channel. In this video, I will talk about the shocking fights of Justin Gaethje, but before the start of this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like so that all people from the United States of America will know about this spectacular fighter. Justin was just a kid when he watched the UFC for the first time with his father and brother. The little guy was so fascinated by what was happening in the octagon that he promised to try it out on himself one day. After 15 years, the naive childish babble turned out to be true. In his last year of study, Gaethje thought about switching to mixed martial arts, and when Georges St. Pierre and Rashid Evans were invited to the wrestling hall, the last outs were exhausted. In search of a debut fight, he turned to the senior wrestling coach, to which he put forward specific conditions to him. The fact is that Justin had serious problems with his studies, and the coach promised him to arrange a fight only if he successfully completed the university. Gaethje successfully received a diploma, and a few months later the first MMA fight. Justin joined the UFC in the summer of 2017, when he already had an impeccable record of 17-0. First, Michael Johnson was knocked out in a crazy debut, then two disappointing defeats against Alvarez and Poirier, and now enchanting victories over Vic and Barboza. Absolutely for all the fights, he received bonuses, which in total amounted to around $300,000. However, such money was not a little blood. In a total of 42 minutes in the octagon, Gaethje managed to miss 873 significant shots, 616 of which fell on the head. For a long time, Justin ignored this fact, assuring the public that he was not averse to receiving such damage further if he made him the most spectacular fighter in history. But after two crushing setbacks in a row, he still began to listen to the advice of his family, coaches, and fans. Now Justin not only attacks, but also defends, and at the same time wins and remains a favorite of the public. Once again, morally hurt Justin Gaethje went into the cage wound up. Again, this story happened to him at the most important moment. Against Johnson, the former champion of the second-rate WSOF was obliged to make a bright and victorious debut in the UFC in order to prove his unofficial title of one of the strongest lightweights on the planet. Gaethje now needed to get back on track after two straight early defeats. The fight was similar to the most popular pre-match layouts. Gaethje pressed, without much fuss about the defense, and Vic kept his opponent at a distance with direct blows from his hands and front kicks to the body. James beat more accurately and soon probably expected to move on to more active actions. However, a little less than a minute and a half after the start of the fight, an unexpected episode occurred. Vic stagnated at the net for an extra second, and Gaethje caught him with a series of two hands in the head. The right overhand hit James in the jaw. The 190-centimeter American collapsed without feelings, and after waking up for a long time, could not believe that he had lost. Despite the difficult stage in his career, for Gaethje, Barboza still posed a real threat. It was clear to anyone who had seen these guys in action before. A struggle in their confrontation should not be expected. The beginning of the fight resembled a duel of Muay Thai fighters. The guys stood opposite each other, throwing wild low kicks. Both are known for their ability to hit their opponent's thigh hard, and then they had the opportunity to find out who was cooler in this component. The Brazilian seemed to hit harder, but this small victory turned out to be his last that night. As soon as the athletes began to exchange on their hands, the American immediately took control of the fight. Already in the first cut, Gaethje twice shook Barboza with the right hook. However, Justin did not fly at the slightly lost opponent. He waited a little, then pinned Edson to the cage, pulled from that force in the clinch, and then again went on an aggressive attack. At the 2:30 mark of the first round, Gaethje executed a combination with the right sidebar at the end. A tight blow fell exactly in the jaw of the Brazilian, and came out so strong that Barbosa fell to the floor already unconscious. The referee in the cage managed to prevent the finish. It was useless there. The main event of the UFC Fight Night 158 tournament took place in Vancouver, Canada, in which the brightest lightweight strikers entered the octagon. The veteran of the promotion Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone and Justin Gaethje, who was on a series of 2 victories. Gaethje immediately began to beat Cerrone's front leg with his crown low kicks. The Cowboy responded with rare combinations, often breaking into an overhand and left hook. Already in the middle of the first round, Cerrone began to remove his leg, feeling the consequences of the eaten blows. It is worth noting that Highlight was collected and did not rush things, trying to wait for the moment for a successful counterattack. Near the end of the same opening 5 minutes, Cerrone rushed at his opponent with a series of punches. Gaethje successfully defended and struck back a powerful overhand that shook the Cowboy. Highlight then took his opponent to the clinch and began to inject uppercuts, from which Cerrone fell to the canvas face down. Justin had to deliver a couple more blows, after which the referee stopped the fight, making sure that the Cowboy was not able to defend himself. In Jacksonville, Highlight revealed a completely different Gaethje to the world. A calculating killer who adheres to the game plan and does not deviate one step from the strategy for the duel. Justin, who recklessly marched on the enemy with his fists, is a thing of the past. On May 10, the U.S. representative worked clearly and inexorably. Powerful low kicks, pinpoint hits to the head, and ignoring finishes helped Justin show the spectacle and create a historic upset. Against his background, Tony was not so bloodthirsty and terrible. Vice versa. Referee Herb Dean had to stop the fight, as there was simply no living place on the face of Ferguson, who is famous for his talent for painting opponents in red. Gaethje, 32, last stepped into the octagon more than a year ago when he lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now it's time to go back. Both the fans and the fighters themselves expected a spectacle from the fight. Both are good at luck technique. Highlight was also not going to spend the entire 15 minutes in the octagon. 10. This is how you can describe what happened in the octagon in the first round. At first, the advantage was on the side of Gaethje, who periodically added low kicks. In the middle of the opening 5 minutes, Chandler began to fall again and again, who even shook his opponent. Subsequently, he even tried to pass in the legs, but Gaethje easily defended himself. The second round did not begin in such a dynamic rhythm. Chandler even acted with his hands down, calling his opponent to him and flirting with the audience, which was on Gaethje's side. This took its toll closer to the equator of 5 minutes, when Justin's uppercut sent Michael to the canvas. It seemed that a knockout was near, but referee Mike Beltran did not stop the fight, and Chandler somehow miraculously survived after a hail of blows thanks to the fight. His whole face was covered in blood, which did not prevent him from smiling. Although Chandler came out again in the third round with his hands down, but he could explode at any time when he tested Gaethje's chin for strength. The power did not go anywhere. Michael missed, but still showed his opponent that this was not enough. Iron Chandler. And in the middle of the round, he made a gorgeous shot, which unfortunately ended in nothing for him. Justin was in a more advantageous position. Then, at one point, Gaethje was led, the next by Chandler. A gorgeous, cool fight is probably the best this year due to the competitiveness of the athletes. The last minute, however, was not particularly memorable. Chandler tried to somehow lure Gaethje, but he acted coolly, did not react to the tricks. A more tired opponent. If you look at the condition of his face, you would think that he did not go into the octagon at all.